Your friend and mine, Paul Cheng.
All right, well, I wanted to thank each and every one of you for giving me an opportunity to come and speak with you today. Before I begin, I wanted to introduce you to a person that has changed the laws of California and is changing the laws of California in relation to cannabis, pot, marijuana. That's Ken Spiker. So Ken, can you just wave your hand, everybody? Ken is with Spiker Consulting. Just to give you an example of just who he is, one of his many assistants include Ed Rendon. And for those of you that don't know Ed Rendon, all of you know Rendon, who is the state assembly member, who is the Speaker of the House. So just to let you know how Ken is shaping the marijuana laws in California. So we're very excited for him to be here. He's actually here to audit some of my topic today. He's not from the government, so I'm not worried about it. But again, he's going to be a great sounding board during our Q&A to be able to discuss the issues related to California. Now, Mel has said that I can take as much time as I want, limited to 20 minutes, so I have my stopwatch going. So my PowerPoint is actually longer than that, which means we're going to have to go through it really, really quick. All right, so, did my butt press it? Okay, so hemp, industrial hemp, has been grown in California forever. And it originally was not criminalized. So the Poison Act was passed in 1907 and 1913 and 1925. So there are all these laws that you can be able to read about. And slowly, marijuana became a situation where it was criminalized. So there was criminalized, decriminalized, criminalized, and then decriminalized again recently in the year 2010 and up, and now in 2016 with Prop 64. Is it Prop 64? Prop 64, all right. So, medical marijuana, many of you know that was passed. It was actually called the Compassionate Use Act. And the Compassionate Use Act, the way it was sold to the public, was that, hey, there are a lot of people that are ill, there are a lot of people that are sick, and really need some benefit that modern medicine cannot give. And so California said, let's do it. The vague wording became a major criticism of Prop 215. I understand that in the San Gabriel Valley, we have a very conservative group of people, and the very conservative group of people always believe that marijuana is a gateway drug. And there are studies that show that it is. And so there's been many criticisms after the Compassionate Use Act was passed, and it goes on until today. So what ended up happening, which was very interesting, is although we have this passionate belief that people should use marijuana on their own, there's also been a state crackdown and even a federal crackdown on people. So many of you have heard, Arcadia has a home with 300 plants. El Monte will have a home with 200 plants. You guys hear that, and it's happening more and more. So what I'm doing today is kind of giving you a background of where it's come from, where it is, where it may go, because the state licensing is going to start in 2018, and how you are going to benefit from it. So legalization, what ended up happening, the path of legalization occurred in 2009, 2010, and again, with compassionate use, and now into Prop 64. So here it is. Prop 64 is the Adult Use of Marijuana Act. And what it does, it allows control, regulation, and tax audit. I actually read the statute, and I read the legislative history on it. Over 100 times, there was a referral to the word tax or taxation. So that's a very interesting issue, because of the fact that the basis of this passing primarily was for the benefit of the public. That's how it got passed, which was different than before. which was different than before. Before, it was a situation of you should be free to do what you want to do. But now the analysis had changed. So the taxation or tax was the primary focus. So basically, if you don't smoke pot, you're going to tax people that smoke pot. So I love cigars, and you taxed me. So those of you that don't smoke cigars said, no problem, we can tax them, right? So that's one of the benefits of Prop 64. Second is that the medical benefit, or the medical side, had already passed. And so therefore there was a belief that, at least in California, it had already passed, so Prop 64 was already in. The third is that because of the Compassionate Use Act, many people were already getting it through their own dispensaries. So people believed that it was okay to tax it because it was a belief that it wasn't previously being taxed. And the fourth thing is that for the first time, politicians were brought in from local cities, and basically they said, look, if Prop 64 passes, we're going to give you, the city, an ability to control those within your boundaries and tax them. Are you interested? And they all said, absolutely. So therefore it was passed. 57.13% passed, over 7 million people, almost 8 million people voted for it. Again, very quick summary. Legalization of possession for everybody. Obviously you can't have a lot. The funny thing is this, I don't smoke pot. So being a de facto expert in front of you, because I feel like I'm dumb as it is, right? And I was such a late bloomer. The first time I drank, I was 26 years old. I was a very late bloomer. And I had tried pot, and I hated it because it made me so slow. I couldn't even, I couldn't function for like a week. And so it's funny that I'm here speaking to you about an area of law that frankly, I wouldn't know how to grow it and cultivate it. I actually was asking my wife, I was like, is an ounce of marijuana a lot? She's like, yeah, you can just roll it up and smoke it, don't worry about it. I was like, oh, okay, thank you. So I was actually asking her last night exactly, what this, how much an ounce of marijuana is gonna be. But anyway, what it also does is it creates a regulatory body. In fact, at least a minimum of 3 governmental agencies, state agencies, are now going to be part of it. There's actually sub-agencies as well. So everybody's jumping on board. Each agency right now, they're at a minimum of 20 employees. You're going to hire another 70 because licensing is going to occur through Ken's group, Ken Spiker's group, on January 1st, 2018. It levies a tax, state tax, and it also, again, gives control back to the local cities to allow for their own personal tax. But if a city does it, they have to go through a public forum in which they tell everybody, you know what, we're going to be doing this. It doesn't allow smoking in a public place. It doesn't allow possession on school grounds. And it doesn't allow open container, like alcohol, when you're driving. So this is the national trend. Do you see those stars? In 2016, California wasn't the only state to provide marijuana or open marijuana laws. As you can see, even the most conservative states, some people believe Texas, they were up, that's Texas. Oh wait.
Oklahoma.
The star's a little bit different, okay. Even Texas, they were trying to pass regulations in regard to marijuana as well. So I don't want you to think that we're isolated. I know everybody knows about Colorado, but California was also a place, not just California, but other states as well. Here's the legal timeline for the feds. So this is a little bit different. All you need to know is that unlike the states, the federal government has not changed their view of marijuana. It remains on their schedule of illegal substances. All right, so the state and the federal have different views as it relates to marijuana. So there was a slight misunderstanding of Prop 64. And the reason behind that is because although Prop 64 is the popular term to say that now it's legal, in my opinion, the ball was already rolling. So Prop 64 was just a public, hey, I just want you to pass it, but the ball had already been rolling for many years. And the reason behind that is Jerry Brown had already signed 3 bills that went into law, and those bills already were creating the system that's going to occur in 2018. So very quickly, it was called the Marijuana Regulation and Safety Act. And so AB 266, AB 243, and Senate Bill 643 were already signed into law before you even decided that Prop 64 was going to work. So whether you wanted it or not, it was already coming in. So in my opinion, we're behind the ball. We're 2 to 3 years late behind the ball. So just very quickly, Prop 64, for those of you that don't know, it was 2016, but the bill was already signed in 2015. And in 2015, Jerry Brown already said that the Department of Food and Agriculture was already going to do licensing. The Department of Public Health was already in, even before you guys voted on it. Assembly Bill 266 provided for medical marijuana that was already in, but the interesting thing is it had already required dual licensing. So for those of you that are interested, you say, my city has already given me a license. I just want you to know, in my opinion, it's almost invalid on January 1st, 2018 without a state license. But Jerry Brown had already told you that before you voted on it. Okay. And I like Jerry Brown, just FYI. All right. Again, it talks about cross-licensing. One of the issues is that they really limit licensing to a maximum of two licenses. You can be grandfathered in if you're already doing the business now. But Assembly Bill 266 talks about it. It also has union law as well, which basically they brought in the unions and they said, you know what, marijuana is going to happen. Are you interested? The union said, absolutely. So it talks about unions as well. And Senate Bill 643 also passed on the same day, all 3. Basically, it has certain fines for people that are in the industry and outside the industry. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that the bills had already been passed. The laws were already in play. So Prop 64 isn't what you should be looking at. Prop 64 merely was the public saying, we like what's previously been going on in California. And that's the reason why you got to jump on board. That's the reason why you need to understand this area of law, because people are going to be coming to you, legitimate business people like myself, and saying, I'm interested in investing, or I'm interested in getting a license. Can you help me? So just very quickly, as a quick summary, it creates dual licensing, meaning that in your locality or your county, if you get a license, you got to go to the state. You have to go to the state. So for those of you that are listening to people and they say, I have a license, I'm already selling, I have a dispensary, come invest. I need you to pause. I need you to pause because, how much more time do I have? 10 minutes? Okay. I need you to pause because there's going to be a void in 2018. I believe that the state law, although it's enacted, it will be in flux. And I believe what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of people in the business that are going to be wiped out when the state comes in. So I just want to warn you that dual licensing is a legal requirement, and you cannot avoid that just because you have a local license. To get the state license, you have to have the local license before you apply. All right, the second one is enforcement. Local governments may enforce state law in addition to local ordinances. Why is that important? Because many times cities are left out of the loop. So let's just say that there was a prostitution ring in the city of Arcadia. And somebody goes into the house and they bust it. Who gets the benefit of that? The county does, not the city. However, with this law, it specifically says Not only does the state can it enforce, but also the city. So the city can go in and they can be able to fine you as well. So it gives city coffers more money. Very quickly, this is a combo of what Prop 64 does, as well as the 3 assembly bills. So I put it in a small chart for you to see just kind of who does the licensing, who does the oversight, who does the track and trace. There are going to be 17 types of permits, 17 types of permits, 10 of which are going to be cultivation, and then it has dispensaries, testing labs, etc. So all the way from soup to nuts. Chinese people say yiqiaolong, right? The dragon, the tail of the dragon, right? It's like, it has it all. So these are the type of cultivation permits that are going to occur. This is just a quote that I had from somebody. I actually was preparing this late at night, so I forgot to quote him, so I apologize. So therefore I'll skip it. Federal property, just let you know, the federal government is constantly selling property. Anything related to federal law, anything related to federal property, it's illegal. So I know they're dumping a lot. For a while, they were dumping U.S. Postal Service properties. There's a lot of property from the IRS. Just avoid it because, again, there's the conflict that we had previously talked about. We've already talked about this before, that marijuana will be taxed by the state, and not just possibly, they will be taxed by the cities and counties. And that's what Prop 64 did. It allowed cities and counties to start controlling their localities. So the analysis on this very quick is that there's going to be a lot of money made. So I was having dinner with one of the principals from Aria Hotel last night, and it was funny because he actually said that there was a mad run on the marijuana dispensaries, and they're all out in the state of Nevada, gone. And it was done within a week. So there's going to be obviously a benefit because the more there is business, the more taxation, etc. So just a very quick summary for you. But there's also other benefits. It helps the highway patrol. They develop a program for driving under the influence of marijuana, etc. In my opinion, the marijuana business is the real estate business. I know that sounds really weird, but what's going to happen is that local municipalities, as soon as they say, you know what, we're going to do it, what they end up doing is, obviously, apart from the tax, they're going to create a zone for which they can be able, where you can be able to cultivate, you can be able to sell. So what do you think ends up happening to that specific zone? All the prices shoot right up. All the prices are shooting right up. Let me give you an example. I had a client come in, and you know how much he was paying? 2 years ago, it was a 99-cent warehouse. What do you think the square footage is now? $8 a square foot, and he was competing with other people because it was in the zone. So that's the reason why the marijuana business, nobody's asking you to smoke it, is the real estate business. Is the real estate business. Because in my opinion, unlike the EB5s that a lot of you were, oh geez, I should have jumped on board. Oh my God, although the guy got arrested and put in jail, I still should have jumped on board. No, the marijuana business is California regulated, they're on top of it, and they're into it. Okay, they are there, and they want you to be part of this business. Huge. And so I don't want you to feel that it's going to be unregulated, although it will be in flux. It will be in flux, I think, within the next year. This is a quote from somebody in the unstable and risky marijuana industry. Anything could happen. There's a lot of uncertainty, but a lot of people are saying, buy the real estate in the zones. Buy the real estate in the zones. Encourage people to get in. Well, that's a very good question. It's a very good question. So I'm going to end with this. Here are the issues for you to consider today, right now. Okay. The law, because it's in flux, is a good thing for you. Because just like there are no marijuana attorney experts, they say they are, but really they were about the past, but the new law has really been enacted just recently. Like you, many people don't understand it, apart from Ken. So therefore, you need to understand, because it's a flawed kind of sub-industry, you can be part of it early on. It's like almost jumping on EB5 the day it started. Very interesting. Secondly, you have to understand that the state will put first in line for licensing those that already have local licenses. So if you don't have it, go get it. Go get it. Speak to your city manager, speak to a city manager, and speak, if it's part of a county control, speak to the county as well. Jump on it right away, because in 2018, there's going to be a flood of applications. Obviously, a lot of people aren't going to know what they're going to do. But those that are first in line are those that have previously received licenses from the local municipality. And for those that have a license before 2015, they're the first in line. Most cities are going to zone it. Specifically those cities where the property value is not that high. So San Marino, it's not going to zone it. Arcadia, probably not going to zone it, but there was going to be a marijuana dispensary in the county area a few years back. I protested against that. Contact the city manager of your city. They have a right and an obligation to tell you that what their city is going to do. However, I want you to know that, in my opinion, doing it by yourself is a little bit difficult, because the more legal something becomes, the quality becomes higher as well. So if I wanted to grow marijuana, because my friend said, you know what, I can just teach you in 2 days, don't worry about it, it's really easy. You're competing with people that have been in the industry and have loved the industry for 30 or 40 years. If you go to other states like Colorado, if you have a tummy ache, there's marijuana for that. If your toe hurts or your pinky hurts, they have marijuana for that as well. So I want you to know that if you're thinking about cultivating and growing, you do need to understand that there's a lot of competition in play, which isn't a bad thing. Because look, if they're going to legalize something, the quality should be good. The next one is vertical integration is prohibited. And what that means is that if you think that you're going to come in and you're going to grow and dispense and transport and do all of that all into one, California law is going to make it very, very difficult for you to do it if you have not previously engaged in business. So they are preventing big, big businesses from coming in. And let me tell you, people that own the Staples Center, people that own all these big businesses, they're all looking into the industry because it's a legal industry. I do want you to know that banks are still not taking the money, and they will avoid it until they can get some type of federal mandate that comes down. And lastly, you have to remember, you still need to comply with California laws. All the overtime, meal break, rest breaks, things of that nature. Can't sexually harass somebody just because they're in the marijuana industry, okay? I just want you to think about that, because a lot of people that you're going to be dealing with are going to be fairly young. Clients that come to me are wearing flip-flops, they're 22 years old, and they make $500,000 a month, and it's all just sitting in their house. It's a very interesting industry. My time's up? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So I've been coming here for many years, and I think that one of the reasons why we have a good rapport with each other is because we've always been open and honest with each other. So don't eat as I'm talking. So what's that steakhouse on Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena? It just opened up. Lowry's, Fleming's. So last Friday night, I was at Fleming's. I had a bad week, very tough, a lot of pressure. And I said, you know, bone-in ribeye, my favorite, glass of red wine, duck horn, which I love. And I just ate it and ate it and ate it. And I stuffed myself. The tummy got really big. And then I walked out, with my suit. And I was waiting for my car. And my tummy began hurting. And the next thing I know, within 10 seconds, my entire stomach had emptied itself on the corner of Colorado implements. And it wasn't just regular, where people like joke about it. It was really horrible. Everything had come out. And the reason why I share that with you is because I didn't know what to do. I was totally embarrassed because it was everywhere. And I understand, I share with you guys that I'm getting older and bad things happen. We laugh about it, but it's true. And I was very, very embarrassed. And I wanted to go back into the restaurant and do something. And they looked at me like I had lost my mind. Seriously, it was really bad. Like I had lunch with Ken at Palms. Do you know his face is on the wall of that restaurant? Right? Seriously, it was funny because I was like gonna joke about it, but his face was right there. But for me, I was sitting there on Colorado Boulevard and everybody looked at me like I was a homeless person. And they walked around me and people scoffed at me and I wanted to cry. I really wanted to cry because I was really, really very, very, very embarrassed. And because the car was in the valet, I just had to sit there and wait. So I went into the bushes and I just hid behind a bush because I didn't know what to do. Now the reason why I share that with you, and I didn't really want to share it, especially because you guys are videotaping it. I don't know, you guys have changed before, it wasn't like that. Is because of the fact that it reminded me a couple years ago of this homeless lady that I would always see at my local Ralph's, and I didn't like her. I felt that she was weird and loud and homeless. And she suddenly stood at the cashier and, I was behind her and I tried to be nice to people. And she got out a few coins and she dropped a couple coins into the box where you donate money. And it took her over 5 minutes to drop all the money that she had into this box. And the judgmental person that I am felt really bad about what I'd been doing to her for years, which was thinking to myself, here she is begging. Can she go and get a job? You guys have felt the same thing, let's be honest, right? You're frustrated, or maybe you give a tip because you want good karma. You know what I'm talking about. And she placed all her money, but it was one by one, and I knew at that time that she didn't have that money. That was probably as much money as she could have. And so I share this with you because every time I come, I just really appreciate the fact that you allow me to have a platform to kind of share my life and be transparent. I just want to remind everybody, as I have experienced and reminding myself, that the difference between you sitting here in a beautiful suit at 8:30 in the morning and the person that is begging on the street, it's actually not that far away from each other. And sometimes we have to hold back. There are people in this room that have faced very, very difficult situations. And kind of like when I was sitting there on the street and everything had fell out of it fell out of my clothes, it was on my shoes, it was on the ground. You can make a choice. You can say to yourself, you're going to become more selfish, and you're going to just pull yourself in, and then you're just going to begin to take, because people are laughing at you. People are more successful than you. People don't care about you. Or you can decide, as I have today, to just be transparent and be open about life and realize that we only have 36,000 days on this planet, and mine are really half over. And some of you, it's 2/3. So why be in that situation where we're sitting there pointing the finger, when we really all should be walking toward the light and all realizing that God has many different names, but we're all worshiping the same person, and we can all sit at the table together, successful, laughing, where we were transparent with each other and open, instead of closing ourselves and becoming more selfish. So I wanted to thank all of you guys today for giving me the opportunity to be here. I'm so excited for you because I believe that the laws in relation to marijuana are really going to open up a lot of doors for people that have integrity. And I really hope that you can be able to benefit from it. Thank you so much.